morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. So I've got Reese's Wankel 49 PI engine on the bench here again. Now I've run this engine several times on video, several times off video. Today I'm going to try something a little bit different. This is probably going to be the final run that I'm going to do with this engine. Now this engine hasn't performed as well as the last one I ran in 2018 as far as peak RPM. I think Reese was maybe a little concerned about what he was seeing as a peak RPM also. So off of camera, actually I did put it on camera, I ran a tank, or not a tank, but I did a run with some Omega control line fuel, which was a 10% nitro, 22% total oil content fuel. I didn't really see any major increase in performance. It did have a little bit higher RPM than the FAI run by maybe 1,000 RPM, but still a little bit lower than what I was seeing in 2018. Today's run, I'm doing a couple of things different and suggestions from friends of mine. First suggestion is I removed the Wankel plug and I put an OSF plug in that, and that's what a friend of mine, Harvey, suggested. And then a friend of mine, Uwe, in Germany, suggested I try some different fuel. And this fuel blend is actually some 25% nitro with some 75-25 FAI fuel, and then a little bit extra additional castor. So that blend should turn out to be about 5% nitro and about 26% oil content, and that's what this run is going to be. So I'm going to do one final run with this and see if this fuel tends to give us any better peak RPM, and see if that plug does anything different. Okay, so unfortunately that very brief run I think told me what I needed to know, and that even this fuel and plug combination is not really just going to magically make this engine have higher RPM. So I don't really know the full history of the engine. Reese told me that before he got it, it had about 30 minutes of runtime on it, and then he told me he put about 30 minutes of runtime on it. So I have to assume that it's fully broken in after an hour of running. Why it's not creating the peak RPM that I saw in 2018 on a different Wankel, I don't have the answer to that. But I mean, the engine does run, and it runs pretty darn well. It's run well, it just, hasn't had that, peak RPM that I think several of us are all looking to see. But anyway, that's my run, and probably the last run with this engine. So thank you all for watching.